Once upon a time, in the beautiful village of Omuafo, lived a pretty girl named Nkechi and her best friend, Nneka. Nkechi and Nneka lived close to each other and have been friends since childhood. They went to the same nursery, primary and secondary schools and developed a close bond in the process. Nkechi grew into a very lovable, free-spirited, respectful, jovial, and beautiful young lady whose heart is so compassionate. She is always ready to render a helping hand, and this made everyone love her. On the other hand, Nneka, Nkechi's best friend, is very competitive. She always compares herself with Nkechi with the intention of surpassing her. One day, Nkechi and Nneka went to the stream to fetch water. On getting to the stream, they met it full because lots of people came to fetch water that day. When the children playing on the river bank saw them, they ran towards Nkechi and started chanting, "Auntie Nkechi, Auntie Nkechi, Auntie Nkechi." Nkechi paused a little to laugh and play with them. As Nkechi and her friend played with the children, the young men of the village waved at them and greeted. They cracked some jokes, played a little, then went ahead to fetch water in the stream. As they balanced the clay pots on their head and commenced a return journey, they started a conversation. Enke, have you noticed how Amadi looks at you each time he sees you? Teased Nneka. How? Responded Nkechi. Don't pretend you did not notice. He kept staring at you admiringly as we dipped our water pots into the stream to fetch water. I guess he was admiring your wide hips, Nneka said with a light laugh. Yeah, girl. That's all you know how to do. Notice boys up and down, Nneka playfully retorted. Come to think about it, Sef, she continued. You are the one with all the shape, not lepa like me. And they both burst out into laughter. As they went down the windy path that led back to the village, joking and laughing so hard, they did not notice the oncoming vehicle until the driver blared the horn and they were jolted back to reality. They saw an expensive-looking car before them, something unlike the cars they see in the village occasionally. The driver behind the wheels looked very unfamiliar too. He looked lost and was frantically waving at the girls in a bid to get their attention. Who is this one? Nneka whispered softly to Nkechi. I hope we are safe. He looks lost, Nkechi replied. He probably needs to get the right direction from us, Nkechi whispered back to Nneka. At this time, they were close enough to the car and the driver stepped out. Hello, beautiful ladies. My name is Obinna and I am from Omuago, your neighboring village. But I seem to have missed my way, Obinna said, looking exasperated. I've been driving around the same spot for almost an hour and I cannot still locate the diversion that leads to my village, he lamented. You mean a grown man like you does not know the way to his village? Nneka asked mockingly. Nkechi grabbed her friend's hand and squeezed it hard. Don't be so rude, she whispered to her. Obinna, flushed with embarrassment, said, Oh, well, that is so bad, right? Actually, I was born in the city and grew up there. I hardly come back to the village. Oh, you really do not have to explain, sir, Nkechi said. We will help you. Nkechi went ahead to show Obinna the way that led to Omuago. Thank you so much, he said. I now see where I missed it. Then, looking directly at Nkechi, Obinna said, Can I have your phone number, please? I need to be able to reach you in case I miss my way again, he chuckled lightly. Oh, that won't be necessary, Nkechi replied with a sweet smile. I am confident that I have shown you the way to your village, so you definitely will not have any need to call me. Oh no, I insist, Obinna said. Please hurry up, Enke. This spot on my head is killing me, Nneka snapped and started walking away. At the point, Nkechi knew she had to leave immediately, and in order to dismiss Obinna, she gave him her phone number quickly, said a quick bye to Obinna, and started walking briskly to catch up with Nneka. A couple of days after their rather dramatic meeting, Nkechi's phone rang as she was in the kitchen preparing dinner. Hello, Nkechi here. May I know who I am speaking with, please? She said. It is Obinna, the guy you helped get home. Obinna's rich baritone voice reverberated through the phone. Oh yes, I remember. How are you, sir? And I hope you arrived Omago safely. Thus, a conversation ensued. Soon, Obinna and Nkechi were talking regularly, and their conversations continued even after Obinna had gone back to the city. And soon, a beautiful relationship blossomed. Obinna, a thriving bank manager in the big city of Owerri, nearby, had fallen head over heels in love with Nkechi. He called her regularly and even started visiting the village more often just to have the opportunity to see her. Of course, Nneka, Nkechi's friend, quickly noticed their closeness and turned green with jealousy. Really, she told herself, the way I see Obinna and Nkechi, these guys will soon get married though, while I'm still single. No one has even as much as said a reasonable hello to me. Talk less of getting into a serious relationship. Ha! Nkechi cannot get married before me, oh. Mbakwa. Mbambamba, she muttered violently, shaking her head. I have to do something about this. The next day, as Nkechi and Nneka went to the stream to fetch water, Nneka tried to dissuade Nkechi from the relationship. Enke, my friend, I can see that love has carried you. It is written all over you. The way your eyes light up each time Obinna calls you tells it all, she said. Nkechi gave a shy smile and said, my sister, that guy is so nice, oh. I bless God the day we met him. He is so kind-hearted, very humane, and very romantic. He just knows what makes me happy, and he does it effortlessly. The way he showers me with gifts, sometimes I think I am dreaming. Chai, God, well no, Nneka responded with a fake smile. I pray my own man locates me soon, no. But wait, Enke, what exactly do you know about this guy? Do you know where he works? What if he's a ritualist? I learned the city is full of such people. In as much as I am happy for you, but I really do not feel comfortable about this guy, Nneka pressed, with the intention of planting fear in Nkechi's heart. Wow, thank you for your concern, Neki, but I have carried out due diligence on him. He is clean. Soon enough, the relationship developed into an official engagement. Obinna brought his parents to come and see Nkechi's parents, and marriage plans kicked off. This infuriated Nneka so much that she vowed to stop her friend's marriage. When alone, Nneka would cry so hard out of envy and frustration. She wasn't happy one bit that her friend was getting married before her. Chai, Nkechi has just been so lucky all her life. She is very pretty, has the attention of all the guys, and she's so smart, she moaned. And now she's to be married to a very handsome and rich young man. And me, I am still here. Oh my God. Not one single person has even asked me out. This life self, how can my best friend be living my dream? Why my life is just a mess? Before long, Nneka came up with an evil plan to ruin her friend's relationship. She got Obinna's phone number from Nkechi's phone and started texting him anonymously. You have no idea who you want to get married to. She is the village whore, Nneka texted Obinna. Your supposed wife-to-be sleeps with every man in the village. And besides, she is very diabolic. Who is this? Obinna queried, but got no response. He tried calling the line, but each time he tried, it was unreachable. At first, Obinna wasn't worried about the text messages, but when the texter became persistent, he became worried. What if these text messages are all true, he mused. What if God is trying to save my life? Honestly, I do not think I dated Nkechi long enough to really get to know her. Then, one day, Nneka conceived a plan and she got an accomplice, Emeka, the village troublemaker. Together, they cooked up a very, very evil plan. 3 days to Nkechi's traditional marriage, the evil duo hit. Nneka ran to Nkechi's house that morning screaming, "Uncle, uncle, please come oh." "What is it?" Nkechi asked, running out frantically. "Is everything okay?" Mbao, Mbao, my friend, everything is not fine, no. Nneka replied, panting heavily. "I just got news that my mom fainted on her way from the farm and was carried to Emeka's house, which was the house closest to her when she fainted. And you know that the hospital is very far away. Emeka just called me and asked me to rush down to his house," Nneka narrated with tears streaming down her face. "Enke, please come with me," she said. Immediately, Nkechi rushed off with Nneka to Emeka's house. Unknown to Nkechi, Nneka had texted Obinna earlier to come and catch his fiancé red-handed with her lover today. She texted him the direction to Emeka's house and told him the time to be there. As soon as Nkechi and Nneka got to Obinna's house, Nkechi rushed into the room where Nneka's mom was supposed to be, but there was no one there. As soon as she entered, a shirtless Emeka rushed in behind her, pushed her down on the bed, and threw himself on her. Nkechi was too shocked to say anything. She looked at Emeka with a bamboozled look and screamed, "Will you get off me, Emeka? What is the meaning of this nonsense?" But Emeka held still. At that very same moment, Obinna walked into the same room with Nneka following right behind him. Obinna stood as if transfixed, with his mouth and eyes wide open. Nneka stood behind him with an evil grin on her face. "I told you," she said to Obinna. "Imagine making out with another man 3 days to your wedding. This lady is heartless. In fact, I cannot even call her my friend anymore. I begged her to end her relationship with this boy here, Emeka, but she wouldn't listen. So I had to let you know." Nneka ranted on and on, spilling devilish lies like a boiling volcano. Nkechi was stupefied, to say the least. She was literally thrown into shock. She looked at her friend Nneka with wide open eyes. She opened her mouth, but no words came out, not even a scream. Hot tears streamed down her cheeks as her friend's evil betrayal dawned on her. She immediately realized that this was a setup by someone she called best friend. The pain was too deep. Obinna could not say a word too. He opened his mouth several times, yet no sound came out. He took one long piercing look at Nkechi with bloodshot eyes and stormed off with Nneka following closely behind him. What just happened? Nkechi asked herself in shocked disbelief. Of course, Emeka was nowhere to be found because he had disappeared from the scene. Nkechi lay there, alone, confused, torrents of tears pouring down her cheeks, and her heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. Why would Nneka do this to me? This is the height of betrayal. To come up with a satanic scheme as this to ruin my life. Chai, this is more than I can bear. Oh, Nkechi cried. After a couple of hours of crying intensely, Nkechi put herself together and headed home. Of course, as expected, Obinna did not give Nkechi the opportunity to explain herself. This was largely because Nneka had constantly fed him with lies about Nkechi, and what he saw to him was only a confirmation of what he had been told. He called off the wedding immediately. Nneka, on the other hand, started spreading malicious gossip with Nkechi's name, telling everyone who cared to listen that Nkechi's wedding was called off because she was caught red-handed with another man. The gossip spread so much that Nkechi became too ashamed to walk on the road and resorted to running errands in the night when not much people will see her. Nneka immediately positioned herself as Obinna's emotional succor, and before long, he started dating her. Nneka's betrayal, the slander against her name, the pain of losing Obinna, and the shame of having a wedding called off made Nkechi want to commit suicide. Of what use is my life? I have lost everything precious, including my good name. I'm now looked upon with disdain by people who once admired me. The one I called friend, the one that I held so dear to my heart, the one I shared every secret I have with, stabbed me at the back. Oh, Nneka, oh, may posterity never forgive you. May you reap a bountiful harvest of this evil seed you have planted. May you never know good all the days of your life. In deep pain, Nkechi would curse and curse Nneka with tears. 1 year later, Nneka married Obinna and moved to the city with him, while Nkechi decided to move on with her life. Nkechi traveled to another city, Port Harcourt, in search of greener pastures. She got a job as a receptionist in an oil servicing company. While there, she saved up enough money to put herself through a polytechnic, where she earned her MD. One day, while in the office, a handsome, clean-looking gentleman walked in. He came in to see the manager of the company where Nkechi worked. Nkechi attended to him so warmly that he took an immediate liking to her. They quickly became friends and started chatting for long hours at a time. The young man's name was Ikenna, the owner of another oil servicing firm in Port Harcourt too. In the course of their conversation one day, Ikenna invited Nkechi to church and she went. That very day, the pastor preached a message on forgiveness that cut through Nkechi's heart. He made it clear that when you hold on to hurt and pain of the past, you hurt yourself and potentially hurt others. He equally said that forgiveness is what brings God on the scene to judge your enemies. Nkechi was so moved by the pastor's preaching that she fell on her knees and where she was and cried her heart out. As she cried, she muttered, "I forgive you, Nneka. I let you go from my heart. Yes, you hurt me deeply, but I choose to let it all go. I hand you over to God. He is a faithful judge. I choose to heal and be made whole again because I believe that all things are working together for my good." As Nkechi muttered those words, she felt something like a very dark fog lift from her. She was so light and felt joy she hasn't felt in a long time. She laughed and cried at the same time. Tears of relief poured down her cheeks. After about 6 months of good and solid friendship, Ikenna proposed marriage to Nkechi, who cheerfully accepted. In 3 weeks, they were married. The marriage was made in heaven. There was so much love, peace, and understanding between them. Nkechi leveraged on her experience gained working in the oil servicing sector to help build her husband's business. The company grew from a small company to one worth hundreds of millions of naira. Nkechi also worked with her husband to diversify their business, and soon they went into manufacturing, production, and recruitment services. Nkechi served as a general manager of her husband's company. The company was also into humanitarian projects, and they drilled several boreholes for Nkechi's village and also built a school for the children. The marriage was blessed with 4 beautiful children. Many years down the line, Nkechi's only surviving uncle died. When her mom called her on the phone to tell her, she immediately knew she had to travel down to the village for the funeral. During the funeral, Nkechi, her husband, and children all traveled together. The fleet of cars they came into the village with caused a stir. I didn't know they knew the governor of the state too. He must be the one that has arrived with all these flashy cars, one of the villagers told a friend. "Oh no, Governor Ke. This is Auntie Nkechi, oh," the friend responded. "Auntie Onye?" the young man asked with eyes wide open. "You mean this is Auntie Nkechi? I always knew that auntie would go places." The news of Nkechi's wealth spread so quickly, and many people came to the funeral to see for themselves. After the burial, Nkechi decided to stay back a couple of days to spend time with family. One afternoon, while she was home, someone knocked on the door. "Hello, who is it?" Nkechi answered as she opened the door simultaneously. There, standing right before her, was a sight she will never forget. There stood Nneka, looking 30 years older than her age. She was so skinny, with wrinkles all over her face. Her eyes were bulging out and her dress was looking faded. She was such a pretty sight to behold. Nkechi just stood there, staring at her in shock and disbelief. Nneka, on sighting Nkechi, fell on her knees before Nkechi, crying and weeping. Nkechi gently carried her up, held her, and they cried on each other's shoulders for a long time, oblivious of their environment. While they hugged and cried, Nkechi's husband and children came to the living room and silently watched them. When they got a grip on themselves, Nneka looked around in complete amazement. "Is this your family?" she asked. "Oh yes, that is my beloved husband Ikenna and my children," Nkechi answered. "Wow, you've got such a lovely family. You are truly blessed, my friend. I learned to build this magnificent house for your mom too. Kai, you are such a blessing. You've always been a star from the womb," Nneka said. At this point, Nkechi looked straight into Nneka's eyes and asked, "What happened to you, Nneka? Is this really you?" Nneka gave a deep sigh and started narrating her story. "After I got married to Obinna, we moved back to the city. Life was pretty much normal initially, but after a few months, things started going south. I miscarried 3 times, and the miscarriage put a strain on our marriage. Obinna began to blame me for everything. He said I was a witch eating up my babies. He said my womb is cursed and cannot hold babies. In fact, he became very aggressive and unkind towards me. I reacted and the whole thing escalated. 1 year into our marriage, Obinna lost his job and we all came back to square one because I wasn't working." At this time, Nneka's eyes filled up quickly with tears. "We tried all we could to have a baby, but nothing worked. What baffled me was that the doctor said we were perfectly fine, but still, I could not conceive. Aside our conception battle, our finances went downhill quickly too. Obinna got so depressed about losing his job that he resorted to drinking and womanizing with the little money he had left. He started even beating me. The last straw that broke the camel's back was when I confronted him about his drinking habits. He lashed out at me and called me unprintable names. He beat me blue and black that day and threw my things out of our apartment. He said marrying me was the worst mistake he has ever made in life. I had to come back to the village as I had nowhere else to go. Nkechi, this is my life now. Sad, lonely, no husband, no child, no source of income. Indeed, I have gotten the full recompense of my wickedness to you." Kneeling down again, she cried, "Please forgive me, Nkechi, please." Her voice cracked and she started crying again. Nkechi gently pulled her up and said, "I forgave you long ago, my friend, which is even why God has blessed me. I hold nothing, absolutely nothing against you." Nkechi reached for her handbag close by and pulled out a checkbook. She wrote out a check of 500,000 naira and gave Nneka. "Here you go, Neki," she said as she handed her the check. "Go ahead and start up any business of your choice. I will help you whenever I can." Nneka literally prostrated before Nkechi, screaming, "What? You mean you gave me 500,000 naira after all I did to you?" "It is really nothing," Nkechi replied. Nneka slowly picked herself up from the floor, thanked Nkechi profusely again, and left. Nkechi looked at her as she left. What a sad life. So this is the end of the story, my friends. And one of the lessons that we can learn from this story is that jealousy is evil. Jealousy will make you do very bad things that you will regret in the future. And a second story is that even when you have been hurt, let go, hand it over to God, and let God fight the battle for you. I hope you enjoyed the story. Thank you, and see you in my next story. Bye.